Hi everyone and welcome to episode 13 of the Spring Snowflake podcast. My name is Sophie and I am filming from South Oxfordshire in the UK. This podcast is all about crochet, knitting, general craftiness and a bit about my life here in my fabulous craft room. I've had a bit of a shifty round of my DK behind me. In fact, I had a bit of a shifty round of all of my hand-dyed and kind of nice yarn. So now all my DK is in, I've got the BFLs here and then I've got the Merinos here. So yes, I have a collection. It's not a stash, it's a collection. Anyway, so my podcast is all about what I've been making, so we will talk about my finished objects, and there are a few, my works in progress, and there are a few of them as well. I've also got I've got the queue section, which it doesn't happen every podcast, but I have got my queue, so telling you what I plan to make in the next couple of months, and then a few new things this month, and then a new section that I started on the last podcast 3 weeks ago. I filmed 3 weeks ago, I only posted 2 weeks ago. So yes, a little bit about spotlighting certain things that I feel are important and people that you should totally be watching if you're not already. And at the moment, because of the conversations that have been happening in the knitting and yarn, crochet and yarn community about racism and inclusion, I am trying to spotlight at the moment either makers of colour or black and indigenous or indigenous people of colour in and things and what's the word I'm looking for? Ideas, events, activities that are spotlighting and supporting those people, because they have not, there are certainly members of our community who have not felt supported and who have not felt visible, and that is now becoming apparent, and it's important that we carry on that conversation. So that'll be at the end. There's not been much of a life update, so I don't actually need to talk to you about life update. We're just trucking along nicely over here. Okay. Do you like my mug? It's a handprint that got turned into a fish by my daughter. Oh, there we go. By my daughter. We have a fabulous, look, and her mummy's mug. She painted the blue and then they did the handprint. We've got an awesome shop in my town which does like kind of clay paintings and stuff like that, and we've had quite a lot of presents from them. So I've got this one for myself, and then we went and did one that was a grey handprint like that got turned into an elephant for my husband for one of his Christmas presents this year. I am drinking, do you know what, I'll tell you later what I'm drinking, but I am drinking a lovely cup of tea. Anyway, right, so finished objects. Those of you who watched last time's episode, episode 12, will know that in February I started my own hashtag called Finish It in February 2019. And that was a personal challenge to myself to finish, or at least get a decent amount done on some of the whips that had been languishing here on this shelf. So I decided that the first thing I was going to do was concentrate on my American octagons. Now, for those of you who've been here from the start, you will know that the American octagons are basically when I was a baby crocheter, a crocheter with a little C. My husband and I went to America for a month. We started off in San Francisco and we worked our way across, either driving or flying, and there was one train as well, and we ended up in New York. And it was an amazing holiday, never to be repeated again because we can't afford that. But I had just started to crochet. I'd literally been taught that spring, and we went off in the June, July. I'd been taught by my friend in that spring, so I went, right, I'm going to find a pattern, I'm just going to make loads of the same thing. I chose an octagon, which, with the benefit of hindsight and experience, was a very stupid thing to do, because octagons don't join neatly. You have to have things in between them. So they sat for a while, so I did loads. I bought yarn over there, we went to Joann's, we went to Michael's, in various different things, and I bought some acrylic yarn because that's what I made with as a baby crocheter, and we basically came home with a suitcase that was full. I think I ended up having about 74 octagons, and then they've sat for almost 5 years waiting for me to do something, and I've gone back to them and gone, oh okay, I could do this, and I'd done loads of tiny little granny squares that I could have put in between them, and it just didn't look right. And this month I went, right, damn it, I'm doing it, and I did it, and it's finished. And it's massive. Look at this thing. It is almost single bed size. So let me pick out. So I have four different yarn type colours. They're all acrylic, either worsted or DK. So it's all. This is all. The black is either Peyton's Fab. Is it Peyton's? Yeah, Peyton's Fab DK acrylic or Starcraft Special DK acrylic. I now only have half a skein of black acrylic in my stash. Part of this was a stash buster because I had a lot of black acrylic in my stash. So I decided that I would use black, and I really like the kind of, it's not stained glass, but it kind of is. So I had this yarn ball, which was, most of these are variegated, which that's another version of the ball. That's another version of the ball. So I think I bought 2 skeins of that in somewhere. Do you know what I did? This is how much of a baby I was. I made a Ravelry page after the fact, so I have no idea what these yarns are. We bought some white worsted. There was this blue, which I actually think I bought in the UK and took with me, but that's made up some, like, the rose. And I'll pop a picture in a bit so you can see the full thing laid out. And then there was also this ball, which also yielded this as well. And where's another one? And this, all from the same ball. So that was properly variegated, but long colour changes, which was quite interesting. So yeah, it's made, it's done. I had to do a lot of, I put this on my finished object. I'm putting it on my sofa over there. I put this on my finished object announcement on Instagram that I had to properly MacGyver. I've had like a true pattern designer. Unfortunately, the octagon pattern that I used, the blog no longer exists. So what I am going to do, it was a free pattern to start with. What I am going to do, and I've tried every single way to get in contact with these people, like, apparently the blog still exists, but it's private and it's on Google. So I've asked Google to get in touch with them. I've posted there's a allow access request on the page that it goes to when you click the link, and I'll put the link on my blog post, but it goes nowhere. So what I did was I reverse engineered, so I unpicked one of my octagons and then I remade it and wrote down the pattern. So what I will do is I will write a blog post about this blanket that will be separate to the show notes. Show notes will be on my blog, link is down in the description box. So I'll write the pattern for the octagon, and then I'll also write the pattern that I made up with a lot of trial and error of how to square it up, because that's one thing that I couldn't find. I googled, I Pinterested, I went on Ravelry, I could not find. I found octagon patterns that had, like, you bordered the octagon and then you put granny squares or squares in between the octagons to make the blanket so that it wasn't holy, didn't have holes. But I couldn't find a pattern or any kind of instruction to square up an octagon that worked for the pattern that I had. So I basically did some MacGyvering. Totally stolen that word from Romany. MacGyvering. So I MacGyvered the way to square it up, and then this blanket was joined in 2 different ways. I started off individually attaching each. So the joining, the black, is in 2 rounds. So you've got the one round where you're kind of squaring up, and then you've got one round where you kind of take the squaring up and make it a bit more robust, and that's your joining round. So I was doing the first round, and then I was doing the joining round and just joining at the corners, but for each individual square, and I went, this is taking forever. So for probably the first 3 rows I did that, and then the last, it's an 11 row blanket, it's 7 by 11 motifs, and for the last, so what was that, 8 rows, I did join as you go. So I basically I did 7 of the motifs where I did round 1 and left it at that, broke the yarn off, left the tails because I was going to bury them with the second row, and then I did a join as you go where I did the second round and then was joining it and kind of doing that. When you do join as you go, you go zigzag, 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 and when you get to the bottom you go all the way up to the top again and go zigzag, zigzag, zigzag. I'll explain it all in my blog. It will be free because the pattern for the octagon is the main thing. I'll put it on Ravelry as well as a pattern page, so if people do want to, I've got a couple of like tiny little motif patterns on there at the moment which are all free on my blog, but if people want to make the octagon, what I'll just do is the main point on my blog post will be the octagon motif and how to square it up, and then I'll say this is how I joined it, but you can join it as however you wish. You can do all the squares by themselves and then sew them up if you wanted to. I still had to do some sewing because it's solid stitching, so it's all half trebles or half doubles for my American friends, so it's not easy to join without a ridge, and I didn't like a ridge, so I basically joined just at the corners and then I sewed through the back loops for the sides of each of the sides. So it did take a while, but the join as you go was a lot easier because I basically just joined the corners all the way down, and that meant then I could sew all the way down the columns and then all the way down the rows, and it just made life a little bit easier really. So yeah, that's done. Yay, American Octagons blanket, it's done. It needs a wash, it needs to go in the washing machine. I might actually even put it in the dryer. It's acrylic, it's 100% acrylic. So really my only issue with washing it is microplastics and getting that into the water. So I'm starting to think more about acrylic clothes and pollution and plastic and all that kind of stuff. I've talked about this before, but actually every time you wash an acrylic garment, there are microplastics that come out of it and go into our water stream. So that's something I need to think about, is how I wash my clothes to ensure that I have as little plastic going into the water as possible. Anyway, FO1. FO2 I don't have because I made it in 2 days and then it was shipped off. So my lovely brother-in-law, who I made his logo hat for Christmas, messaged me and went, hello, my colleague is going to Poland to do this Arctic training thing. And I'd really like to make him a hat, to send him off with a hat that has the logo of our practice. So he has his own osteopathic practice, but he is part of a clinic as well. So he has a room in a clinic, and he wanted a hat that had the logo of this, so this guy could wear it. And I looked at it, and the logo was 4 colours, and I went, okay, how do you need it by? 10 days. Okay. Will you pay the postage so I can get a special delivery so I can have as much time as possible to make this hat? Yeah, that's fine. So he commissioned me, he paid me to do it, it was absolutely fine, and this wasn't done out of the kindness of my heart. I was paid to do it. Mates rates, because he's my brother-in-law. But yes, and I made it. I'm going to put a picture of it here, blocked, ready, and then I'm going to put a picture here of it all nicely styled for a photo that the clinic leader, who is the guy that went on this training course, with his walking boots and his passport and the hat on top of his boots. It's beautiful right there. I didn't know that this guy was, and I can't remember his name, this is really bad, I'll put his name there. I didn't realise that he was going on a trip that included a trek up, I think it's a Polish mountain, in just shorts and walking boots and a backpack. Like literally he was bare-chested, bare-legged. He had my hat and shorts and walking boots, and that was it. I don't want to share the picture because, oh wait a minute, can I? Because it's on his story, so it'll have gone by now. That's annoying. But yeah, he posted a picture on his stories about this, like him wearing this hat with like literally no clothes on, walking up this snowy mountain. scary. I did post it to my phone. I posted it to my stories on Earthtones Snowflake, and I think I've saved it as a highlight. If I haven't now, I will remember to do it before I post this video. So if you want to go and see that picture of this madman walking up this snowy mountain, bare-chested, scary. It's on my story, so go and have a look on my story highlights. Anyway, that was the first time I did duplicate stitch, so that I've submitted that to the Pins and Needles Zoe's newfangled Mel, because it's the first time I've done duplicate stitch. It wasn't perfect. There were definitely some fudging bits going on there, but I've done it, I've learnt it, I know how to do duplicate stitch, and I know how amazing it is. So, awesome. But yeah, that hat, there was a 2 AM finish the night before. I had to block it and send it, because I blocked it as well. I basically, like, I soaked it, I got as much of the water as possible out in a towel, and then I put it on a balloon. Oh my god, balloons in this house they don't survive. They just don't. I'm rambling today. And then it went in front of a towel rail, and yeah, I think it was slightly still damp when it was packed up, but it went first class. No, it went special delivery for a 1 PM delivery the next day. I was tracking it the next day to make sure it got there. It was good. It was all done. Anyway, I've got another finish it in February FO. I talked about it last time, and this still needs to be blocked. The ends are woven in, but it does need to be blocked because it is a little small. I finished my echo chamber! So I'm not particularly sure I like the ends because they're a little bit wonky, because obviously that's the body of the shawl, and then this is all border. There's Tunisian there, that's Tunisian. And there's linked stitches as well, which I absolutely love. There is in the top down sweater book, which I've got by Dora Orenstein, there is I think it's the Lunar sweater that is all linked stitches, and I really want to make it, but I have many sweaters still to make before I can do that. But yeah, it's done, it's finished, it's not very big. I'm putting it over, so see, it's not that long, but it does need to be blocked. So I'm hoping this, because I'm showing you the back, this stitch is really textural, and I think it'll block out to be this kind of beautiful meshy. Yeah, the Tunisian is quite tight, so we'll see, but I think it'll stretch a good few inches extra. But yes, this is the Echo Chamber shawl, which was a mystery crochet along from the crochet project. It was their second one, mystery crochet along, so this is the second one I've done. The yarn is West Green, I've got the things, West Green Loft Yarns. You might not be able to see that. There we go, West Green Loft Yarns. It is 100% superwash merino in the Braveheart colourway, and then their yellow is Fibre Spates Fairy Wings in the Autumn colourway, and it's 69% mulberry silk, 22% mohair, and 9% polyamide. I still have quite a lot of both of these left. There's about 16, it was a 50 gram skein, so there's about 16 grams left of that, which isn't really enough to go into a hat, but we'll see what I can make of it. And then, oh, the other one's in here. I'm not going to get it out, but yeah, this I've still got about 37 grams, so it's not quite small enough to just go in a leftovers blanket. There's still quite a sizable amount of yardage on there, so I've got to think about what I want to put it in, because it's only merino, so I don't want to put it in socks because I don't think it'll last. So I'll have to go in something, maybe a hat, a striped hat maybe, I don't know. This is actually getting better as I drink it. I'll tell you what it isn't at the end. Okay, so yes, it needs to be blocked, but it's done. It's not done because done according to the Knitmore girls is when you block it and then you photograph it and it goes on Ravelry. So it's not done, but it's done. Last one I was, this was a tiny little thing. I want to get rid of my crochet cotton, and I also needed a strap, a neck strap for my camera, which I'm recording on. So I got these little clips, and if I can, I don't know if that'll reach, it's there attached to the two. I've got two little camera strap tabs on my camera, and I got it off Amazon for like a £5, I think, not even. Clips into both sides, and it is a bit stretchy because it's crocheted. I basically made this up as I went along. I somehow MacGyvered it. MacGyver's the word for this episode. It's not going to be it might be the title. I haven't decided on the title. Anyway, so I had this 4-ply, yeah, it's 4-ply cotton, mostly from Little Box of Crochets actually. This coral definitely was. I think this green actually was. I think this one was from the Frida Kahlo box. And then I think this one is a yeah, no, I think they're all from Little Box of Crochet. I made it too long, so you'll see that there's a thicker bit here, which is where I basically just cut my crochet, took out a section and sewed 2 ends together, and it just goes around my neck, and it'll hold my camera when I'm going out and about. I am going to be vlogging this weekend at the Unravel Festival. I will be there Friday and Sunday if anyone wants to come and say hi. My vlogging camera will be out on Sunday. I don't know if I'll vlog tomorrow on Friday because I'm just attaching this back onto my camera so that I don't lose it. Okay, those are my finished objects. But yeah, Friday I'm going to shop and to meet a friend or two, and then Sunday I am going to vlog because a lot of people are going on Sunday from the crochet clan, so I want to enable and film all their purchases. I'm not going with a giant shopping list. I am going with, I need 3 things. So I need a skein of yarn for a skinny singles, so merino single ply for the 6th colour of my Crochet Your Fade shawl. I was going to make that out of truly hooked yarn, but I've decided against that. That's going to go into a top. What I'm going to make, so I'm using the same colours as my Vertices Unite, but there's 6 colours in Crochet Your Fade and there's only 5 colours in Vertices Unite, so I want another. And those two I'm going to make the small Vertices Unite, which will leave me enough yarn left over to go into Crochet Your Fade, and that means I will use every scrap of yarn of those singles. I'm being frugal. So yeah, that one. There's a new pattern which I'll talk about in my queue, which I want, and I need another skein of DK. And then I want to buy some short knitting needles for my northeasterly blanket. I'm pointing there because that's where all the minis are for the northeasterly. That's my shopping list. That's it. I don't want to buy anything else. I'm not in the market for any more sweater quantities because I've got more than I need to get on with. I might buy a souvenir skein if I see something that blows me away, but Unravel is yarn festivals this year are not about buying lots for me. They're about meeting up with mates, seeing designers, talking to yarn dyers, all that kind of stuff. So that's my plan. Okay, whips. So let's do the year-long ones because I'm going to get them out every single podcast to show you my progress. So this is my, I've got the rest. This is my temperature blanket. I am 1 square away from finishing row 3. As you can see, we are getting warmer. We are into Aspen. Again, this is a stash buster for me. I do not want to buy any yarn for this blanket, so if I do run out of any of my colours, I will just substitute them from something in my stash, and if it looks a little bit different, I don't care. I don't want to buy any more yarn to go in this, so I'm quite low on my turquoise, but I'm looking at my acrylic stash over there. I have camera cut out. Anyway, so I don't want to buy any more. I've got some yarn, particularly in the blues, that is very close to these particularly these 2 colours I've got not very much left of, so I'll just substitute them in because no, I'm not going to buy any more acrylic yarn. So that's my temperature blanket. February, I'm caught up. What's the time now? I'm half an hour away from knowing what my temperature is for today. We're slowly creeping up. We got into the 12s yesterday, which is nice. Okay, and then my other year-long project is my Truly Hooked Blanket Club, which is in my Mrs. Brown's bags, and I am going to show you this again. This is my Little Drops of Wonderful Starry Eyes Ellie, the awesome Ellie. That's her pin that says, "You're a little drop of wonderful, come back." There we go. This is my Truly Hook Blanket Club. I am up to date, so I am expecting the next round to drop through my door today, tomorrow, Saturday, hopefully. So what I'm doing is a take on a half square triangle blanket. So I am doing a middle chevron, and then as I get all the colours, so this one to this one to this one, it'll radiate out into a spiral. But yeah, it's DK, it's 100% merino, and Verity is a wizard with colour, so I'm looking forward to seeing how we get on. I am using, I think I showed you this last time, this is what I've got left of those 3 colours. So there we go. Oh, damn. So they will go in my northeasterly once I get started on that. And I'm using my 4mm Make a Marble hook. What else do I need to tell you? Oh, this is what I've got left of the undyed. So I used 53 grams so far, so I will not need that for every month. So I think I'm going to have it for the next couple of months, and then I'll take a month off. I can always use this stuff in other stuff, so it's not as if I won't have use for undyed 100% DK merino. But I don't want to spend money that I don't need to, basically. Right, so that's my year-longs. My next one is another finish it in February, and I am determined to finish this. I don't think they will be finished in February, but they are my Cha-Cha Chevron socks for my mum. So I've done loads, actually. So basically I've now run out of, I split my yarn. This is Fjord Fibres Troll Fjord sock, and I ran out, and I'm quite far away from the toe. These are going to be for my mum. She's got size 5 feet, so not as big as me. I didn't have the best experience of asking in a Facebook group, which I've now left because I'm not particularly happy with it, where I went, "Hello, what would you do? Would you take out one of the chevrons, graft it back together?" So if you can see, I didn't do all 6 of the chevrons from the pattern. Sandra's pattern, which is the Cha-Cha chevron by Sandra Paul of Cherry Heart, calls for 6 chevrons, and I had a feeling that my 50-gram skein would not go that far. So I only did 5, and actually I probably should have only done 4, to be honest. And I went, "Oh, should I take it out and graft it back together? I'm not scared about cutting into my knitting. It's only knitting." And then add it onto the length of the sock, or should I just change colours to my toe colour halfway up the foot? It'll look a bit weird, but we'll work it out. I'll probably fade it in, like on the Coffee Talk socks, if anyone's seen the Coffee Talk socks by Tracy of the Grocery Girls. So I then went, "Do you know what, I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to see how far I get with the second sock." So the second sock, I've just finished the gusset decreases, and I've got that much left. So on the first sock, there is 38 rows of just round and round and round. So I have put my little progress keeper in, my little bird. Isn't he cute? Oh, wait a minute, he's totally wrapped up in yarn. Poor thing. Can you see? There he is. He's glittery as well, which is cute. So I've done my gusset decreases. I'm just going to go round and round and round and see how I do. If I've got any left of this, once I get to 39, then I'll work out if it's worth me splitting it between the 2, or whether it's just, I just change for the toe. So yes, those are the Cha-Cha Chevron. They are awesome. I made great use of, and I don't know if I've shown you these before, these are from Rosie's Moments. They are little stitch markers that say SSK and knit 2 together. So I made great use of those. They were awesome to help me do my decreases. I have tried every single way of making socks on these. Magic loop, DPNs, so this one is on DPNs at the moment, and small circular, and I like DPNs. I don't like DPNs for patterning, but I do like them for round and round. But my preference is still Magic Loop. So there you go. I've learned, oh no, yarn in a zip. Come out. There we go. Oh. That was almost horrible. This is, so the main bag for this is a me-made bag, and what I take around with me is in a little grey girl pyramid bag. So yes. Then there are new things. Because I finished that blanket, that gave me license to start something new. So I had, and it's up here, 10 skeins of paint box, wool mix chunky I think it's called. Oh god, I've left the thing behind. Let's just put the ball button back on. Yeah, 10 skeins of paint box wool mix chunky, which is 50% wool, 50% acrylic, which I bought in a offer. I think it was a makey offer for when she was making a chunky cardigan, and she worked with Love Crochet to. Anyway, so I've got 10 skeins of that, and I bought that originally to make an owl sweater. Now, Owls is designed by Kate Davies, and in my personal opinion, and this is, I am stressing, this is my personal opinion, I'm taking a leaf out of Caroline from Done It. My personal opinion, you can think what you like, but I am uncomfortable with the way she has handled the conversation about racism in the knitting community. Now, I know that she is academic, she's an academic, and she's written essays on this topic, but how she handled it on Instagram, how she basically didn't allow comments, her first statement, which I will always take as the gut reaction, was to say, I don't want to talk about it, I'm just going to get on with the work outside of Instagram. As someone who has has drummed up a lot of support and business through that platform, I don't think the argument, oh well, social media isn't real life, is sensible, because that is part of our world now. People, if they so choose, will do business and will create marketing opportunities and promotion opportunities through Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, through lots of social media. That's part of our dynamic now in this world. Social media and the internet help people run businesses. They help people make livelihoods from home. And to call it not real life, I think is insulting. And again, I'm going to reiterate, this is my personal opinion. A lot of the people that I consider friends, I only know through social media. A lot of the people in the crochet clan I have never met, but I consider them friends because of the interactions I have with them through social media. And I'm talking about people overseas. Like Hayley, I'm going to use you as an example. Hayley, who's Hayri on Instagram, lives in the Yukon in Canada. She lives in the middle of nowhere. There is very, very little chance that I am going to get to the Yukon, and it's very little chance that Hayley and I will ever meet, but I consider her a friend. And for someone to say that that's not real life is insulting to me. And then she posted an apology, which wasn't really an apology. And she didn't allow comments on either of them. So really, the only opportunity that people had to discuss, to open up discussion with her, was privately in either DMs or on Ravelry. She hasn't really dug herself out of the hole that she created, is what I'm saying. So, and I know that there are medical issues there. She's just had to pull out of her Edinburgh Yarn Festival talk because of health issues, and I wish her well. I hope that she gets better soon. I don't ever wish ill on people. However, I don't feel comfortable making her patterns right now. And that's my thing. I don't judge anyone who makes Kate Davies patterns. You do you, whatever. But my personal feeling right now, based on her responses to the really important things that are happening right now, are that I'm not comfortable to make her patterns. which is a shame because actually a couple of her patterns were bought for me, thank you, as part of the Get Your Yarn Wishes Granted thing, and I feel really guilty about that because people spend their money on something that I'm not going to make right now. I may come back to it. You never know. My tea's getting cold. And so I started thinking about what I wanted to do with these 10 skeins of yarn. 10 skeins of chunky yarn. That's a sweater weight. It's a kilo of yarn. So I thought about splitting it up and making it into things for charity, making it into blankets, making it into hats. There's a couple of hat cowls that are going on at the moment, particularly the Warm Hearts cowl, which is being run by Amy of Stranded and Jules of So Sweet Violet. I thought about making loads of hats. And then I thought, you know what? You wanted to make a sweater out of this. You were really excited about this colour. Like, I don't wear a lot of red, but that colour spoke to me. That wine colour spoke to me. Make it into a jumper. Find another pattern. So, I'm making it into another jumper. I've literally only just started. I've talked about that for a long time. So, this yarn, love it. It's just such a beautiful red. Look at that red. Anyway, I have a thing about red at the moment. I'll show you on my queue. Anyway, this is the back. I'm knitting flat. I'm purling, guys. I'm purling. This is the back of the Easy Bulky One by Joji Locatelli. I thought, you know what? I want something that's methodical and mindful and that I can just sit and knit. It does require a little bit of setup because you knit the back flat to start with and then you knit the front onto it flat and then you join it and you work it in the round. So I do have to think about my tension. I also had to do some maths because the gauge, I didn't get gauge. The yarn that Joji uses has more yardage, more meterage than this per 100 grams. So in order to get a gauge that I was happy with, I had to do some maths. So I've got more stitches per inch than Joji does, which is interesting because her yarn is thinner. Anyway, and so I then, because of the amount of stitches around that will end up with for me, I went up a size. So up a size for the stitch count. So I'm doing this. My sizing is for the size medium, but I'm knitting the size large. We'll see how it works out. It's my first proper knitted sweater, so which is another reason why I chose the Easy Bulky One, because it is 16 inches of positive ease in this jumper. So even if I get it slightly too small, I don't think it's going to matter too much because it'll just be slightly less slouchy. So yeah, I'll pop a photo of what it should look like with the beautiful Joji in it. So yeah, so that is my newest cast on. And then lastly, it's not really a whip, it's more of a addition. So my little girl, and I will pop you've seen her all over Instagram, I have made a hat with some really bright yarn for my little girl. Just taking the time. It's blacks and pinks and yellows. In fact, I'll show you because this is what I'm talking about. It is this delightful colourway. It's amazing. It's just amazing. Anyway, so she's got a hat like of that hat, and she's got a giant pom-pom on it, which is so giant it keeps pulling the hat off her head. So I was like, oh, what can I don't want to take the pom-pom off because it looks weird without a pom. But what can I do to make it not fall off? How can I embellish it? And Amelia is really into dinosaurs at the moment. She yeah, she's just dinosaur. So I've decided that I'm going to do dragon scales. Take the pom off and put like scales down the middle of her hat. So I found a little free pattern. I could have made this up, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to see if someone's done it for me. And I sat in the car before I went to my class this morning, and I've made different size dragon scales. Is there a bigger one? There's the big one. So they're literally a magic loop on the top, and then you kind of you do a couple of rounds of the same, 4 double crochets, and then you increase, and then you do a couple of another round of not increase, and then you increase, and then you increase. And I'm literally just going to sew these on to her hat. She's taking it to nursery today, but before she goes to nursery tomorrow, if she goes to nursery, we've had some issues this week with her not wanting to go. I will sew them on, and she'll have dragon scales rather than a pom, and hopefully that'll look good. So yeah, it's kind of a whip, but it's actually more of an embellishment. Right, Q. So I've mentioned the Warm Hearts, Warm Heads cowl, so I do want to make some of those hats. I also want to make the newest, is it her newest pattern now? I think it is. Hannah from the Cozy Cottage Crochet, I've wanted to make her newest pattern, which is the Cotton Candy Slouch. I also wanted to make a hat, a knitted hat. So hers is crocheted. I also wanted to make a hat called the Hoxton Luxe hat, which is by Susie from It's a Stitch Up, who are yarn dyers in the UK. And send them to Shelter. So I've got some bulky yarn that where is it? Bulky, chunky. It's here. That I have had for ages, and I tried to de-stash it and no one wants it, so I've decided I'm going to make it into a hat. This is King Cole Riot Chunky. It's a very loosely plied yarn, but I think this will make a couple of really good hats, so I'm going to make those, one crocheted, one knit, and I'll pop photos either side of what the patterns should look like, and obviously I'll put links to them in my show notes. The other hat that I want to make is called the Bean Hat, which is by Plucky Knitter. Again, this is a free pattern, so Cotton Candy and Hoxton Luxe are paid for patterns. Hannah has her, it's only $1, I think, her, and then obviously if you're in the EU you pay that on that as well. So I think I paid $1.20. No, yeah, $1.20. So whatever that is in English, I don't think it was £1, to be honest. For Hannah's, the Hoxton Luxe hat is a paid for pattern. I got it free because they were, I think at the start of the year or in Twixtmas, they were offering all their patterns for free. So yeah, that's in my library, and I've wanted to make that up. And then the Bean Plucky Knitter is a free pattern. So that is, you hold a sport weight yarn and a fingering weight yarn held double, and then you knit it. So I'm going to try that one as well. So those are the hats that I want to make over the next month or so that I can send them to Shelter or a local homeless charity. I haven't done enough research on that to then contribute to the Warm Heads, Warm Hearts cowl. I think it's that way round. If it's not, I'll put it down below. So that's my cue. There's also a couple of cowls, one ongoing, one about to start. So there's the Colourwork cowl, which is run by by Alison and Vivian, who are Keep Calm and Carry Yarn audio podcast. They're also on YouTube. It's an audio podcast, but they put slides up on YouTube, so you can see the pictures and stuff like that. So Keep Calm and Carry Yarn, they're doing a Colourwork cowl, which runs for a little while. I think it's to the middle of April. So I want to do a crochet one and a knit one for that. There's the Fern and Feather sweater, which the yarn is living in my beautiful Hide and Hammer River Knits bag. So you've seen this yarn before. The main colour is going to be Erica Knight Vintage Wool, and the ferns and feathers is going to be Stranded Dye Works. Oh, stop focusing on my face. Merino Aran in the Tits Out Collective colourway. So I'm really looking forward to making that. That's something I'm going to cast on once I finish the socks, probably. And then I also want to make the Circu mittens by Vicky Brown, which she did for Inside Crochet, and it was in one of their inserts recently, so the pattern's in there. I'm going to be using Jameson Smith 4-ply, which I was going to use for a Kate Davis hat pattern, but now I'm going to use it for mittens. And then I also want to make the Spiral Socks pattern again, which I used for my Marie Curie socks, which I don't know whether that counts as colourwork, but I'm gonna say it is. So that's the Colourwork cowl. Also, Rosina of Zines and Roger is going to be rerunning her granny cowl for this year. and I want to remake a cushion that I made for my granny for when she moved into her care home, which is the Daisy Heart Granny Square. I'll pop a photo somewhere there, let's put it there, of the one I made when it was in pieces ready to be sewn up, and I'm going to make another one, I think, probably out of, that one was made out of acrylic, this one's going to be made out of some of my cotton that is in the wings, so it's probably going to be smaller, or I'll make more daisy, daisy, what's the word I'm looking for? Hearts, daisy hearts, to make a pillow, a cushion. I quite like, I've got quite a lot of cushions that I just bought from IKEA and are waiting for me to put things around them, so yes. The last thing, I alluded to this earlier, I am going to make a Odyssey shawl. Joji Locatelli has just released a free pattern for a shawl called the Odyssey shawl, and I am going to make it out of my Knit by Numbers 4-ply in the, it's 02, so it's just off black. And then the Steampunk Sheep Yarns Cat Secrets and Lies, which came in my Fibre Lounge box. Let's hide so you can see that. There we go. And then I just need a third colour. Now I'm thinking, I don't want to use this one because it's BFL and these two are merino and I don't particularly want to, I don't know, anyway, I'm thinking Firecracker from Stranded. And Stranded, Amy has got a booth at Unravel this weekend, so I am going to go and get Firecracker in the merino DK from her. So yeah, so that's the Odyssey shawl, and that's what I'm going to make them in. I want to make that toot sweet because it's an amazing pattern. So that's my cue. New things really quickly. So I, as part of the Finish It in February, I also want to finish my Sophies Universe, and Deirdre, who is Barberton Daisy on Instagram, who is the pattern designer, she has produced the book for Sophies Universe, because this thing, look, it's giant. It's just giant. It's a massive, massive blanket. So I've bought the book from Wool Warehouse, and it's going to, rather than constantly going on the blog posts, I've got it all in here. I've supported the designer. She put so much work into it, into all her patterns, and most of them are free. So I bought the book. It's sat on my shelf at the moment. Sophies Universe, I think I'm not going to do it finish in February, because I want to finish those socks. That's really the only other thing that I had, but it's also massive and it's now starting to warm up. And I don't particularly want a giant blanket, but it's something that I'm going to finish this year. Now I've got the book. So that's that. I also, the lovely Holly, who is Holly Pips on Instagram, posted a photo of a project bag she had and then posted the amazing thing that it did. And I went, well, I have to have that. New person, new maker to me. It's a lady called, oh God, Thimble and Thread Make. I can't remember her actual name. That's really bad. So she makes, her signature is actually the knitter's backpack, and this thing is amazing, and I will get one at some point, but I wanted one of her project bags, and this is her cube bag. This is the large, I think it's the large cube bag. This was holding my blanket, my American Octagons blanket. I got it in the red, which is totally blown out the camera. It's got a grey lining, it's got a lovely pocket. This is canvas, yeah, canvas. What is brilliant about this bag are these little 3 white dots, which are actually poppers, so that you can go through the lining. Now, oh, it's over there. Do I have a badge that I can show you? No. You can go through the lining and put your pin badges on the outside of your bag, but then they're not coming through into the bag and interfering with your knitting or your crochet. Because a lot of the, like the backs of enamel pins and stuff like that, particularly if they're the butterfly clasps, those butterfly clasps love yarn. They love yarn. So this is a really clever construction. I don't know why nobody else is doing it. It's lovely, and it folds up really neatly until the next project. So once my easy bulky one gets bigger, it's going in there. Or once my truly hooked blanket gets bigger, it's going in there. So this is a really good blanket, sweater sized thing, and I will put a link to her shop in my show notes. The last thing that came in was a surprise. So I got my post. It's good that I'm filming on a Thursday. I normally film on a Tuesday, but my little girl refused to go to nursery on Tuesday, so we brought her home and we just had the morning together. We went to IKEA. It was perfect. But I got a lovely little parcel through the post, and I was expecting my blanket card, and I was like, that's not the postcode. That's not Verity's postcode on the return address. I looked at it and went, I know that address. I know that postcode. The lovely Jo, who is Feather and Threads, and I've mentioned her before, decided that we were having a conversation about Bird and Blend, because I've never tried Bird and Blend tea. And if any of you watch the Corner of Craft podcast, Hannah, yes, you'll know about Bird and Blend tea, and she's slightly obsessed. And Bird and Blend, I think, originate in Brighton. And there is a Bird and Blend shop in Brighton and Brighton? Maybe. Anyway, there's a Bird and Blend shop near Jo. She lives on the south coast. And after our conversation about tea, she decided she was going to send me some. So I've got my first experience of Bird and Blend tea. And that wasn't enough, apparently. This tea that I'm drinking is one of my tea bags from the mixed tea parcel. This was strawberry lemonade. It was nice. It was good. I liked it. I tried the digester yesterday because I had a bit of a bad belly. That was lovely. So yeah, I'll be trying more of them. But yes, I think this is going to start a bit of an obsession with tea, with Bird and Blend. But no, that was not enough. She decided that she was also, because she's taking part in Fibre Share this year, which is how we met last year. And I'm not, but she decided that she was in a yarn shop, her yarn shop, to buy some yarn for her Fibre Share partner. She decided that she was just going to pick me up a mini. So this is, I've never had yarn from Olin. This is Olin. It is in their, it's a mini light. It's called Boot. It's 80/20. And it looks like this. So it's greys of different hues, there's some blacks, and then there's this beautiful green that runs through it. Look at that. I love it. There's a really, actually there's, look. Oh, look at that. So yes, I have no idea what this is going to go into, but it's going to go into something nice. Not a blanket. This is too nice to put in something like that. The dregs might go in a blanket, but yeah, no. So yes, that was my, and oh, look at the card is just beautiful as well. Look at that. It's pretty. Anyway, so yes, those are my incomings. Right, last but my name is least, because I'm talking for almost an hour. Spotlight. So I'm going to talk about two things today. First things first is the solidarity swap. So if you haven't seen already, and if you haven't, go to my Instagram, Sophieswan. I haven't actually said where you can find me. You can find me on Instagram as Sophieswan or Earthspring Snowflake, because I've got two profiles. Anyway, and you can also find me as Sophieswan on Ravelry. There is a swap that's going on that was instigated by Tyne of Tyne Swedish as part of the, do you know what? There's been some really heavy conversations, and I really want to find a way of supporting people who've been involved in this, and also shining a spotlight on makers from underrepresented groups. So Tyne basically put a shout out and went, who wants to be involved? And the few people who got back to her to start with said, yeah, we're going to do that. So the people that are involved, the moderators, if you will, are Tyne Swedish, Catherine of Geordie Knits. Go and watch her podcast if you haven't already, it's really good. Labian MA, Amanda from Master Yarnsmith, I've got a list here, and Melissa from Resting Stitch Face, If It Ain't Kate, who's called Kate, and Sydney, who's Sydney SM01 on Instagram. They're the moderators, and they're basically, it's kind of like Fibre Share, but we all signed up on Instagram, not Instagram, Ravelry, and we're waiting to find out our swap partners, and I'm signed up for a pattern swap, so sending someone a pattern, and I've also signed up for sending someone yarn and notions. I've also offered to send someone a skein of yarn for those who can't afford it. So there's a separate setup list for if you don't feel you can afford it. There is a spending limit of $10 on the yarn and patterns. I think no, $30 on the yarn and Notion's side, and $10 on the pattern side. So we have set spending limits. It's unlike Fibershare where people go nuts. But yes, I've signed up. I've also signed up to donate as well to someone who can't afford that. So go and have a look at Solidary. I'll put the link in my show notes. Last but by no means least, because my battery is flashing at me, is a YouTuber that you really, if you don't already follow her, then you really should, and that's Denise of Earthtones Girl. She has, she's on Instagram as Earthtones Girl, and she's also got a YouTube channel, and she's awesome, softly spoken, just such a gentle person, and I've really enjoyed watching her podcast and getting to know her over the last couple of weeks. Her Vogue Knitting Live podcast is fab. Like, she's so exhilarated by the experience, and it's really nice. So that's it. Hopefully I can get this up before Unravel. If not, you'll get the Unravel vlog and this at the same time. But hopefully it'll be up by Saturday. I'm filming on a Thursday, the 21st of February. I do have a thing down there that says it, but you can't see it. All that remains to say is thank you so much for watching. Sorry for the garbled bit at the end, and I will see you in a couple of weeks on my next episode. Bye! Let's do this thing. Your hair is really quite dark still, but it is still vibrant-ish. The ends are getting less vibrant, but you can still see quite a lot of it. There we go. That's a bit brighter, isn't it? That's nice. Right, let's get started. Let's put this blanket on my lap. Oh, so I'm not reaching. This blanket's going to totally blow out the camera. Right,